cell tower. They hit the cell. They're coming for the second tower.
Oh my God! No! Harri, what's your unpopular opinion on the Minions trilogy?
I believe you're talking about Despicable Me.
Yeah.
And my unpopular opinion would be that look, they say everyone's done with Blue, and they are. Avatar, one of the highest grossing movies of all time. Avatar 2 broke many records, and I'll tell you what, everyone's done with Blue. They're using Blue too much, and I think that stems from the systemic use of the green screen that they tend to put Blue in movies more because that's what their brains are programmed to do. And I think that the close relation between purple and blue is quite a prevalent thing and something we should be considering when we're talking about color theory. And the use of purple minions, I'll tell you what, considering everyone's done with blue, and by that standard everyone's done with purple, I think purple minions was kind of capturing the essence of the volatile nature of these minions. I think red would have been a better color, and I think a lot of people will disagree because purple is a color that's been used in many depictions of potions, many depictions of magic. You see a lot of classical wizards being depicted as purple, but I'll tell you what, I think in Minions that the Minions should have been depicted as red to show their volatile and violent nature, as opposed to purple, which shows a more magical and I guess distorted nature. And that's my hot take on Despicable Me.
History is actually a sign of royalty.
It is, and I'll tell you why. You know what? Look.
Because purple dye. I'll tell you what, I don't know what flower it came from. I'll be completely honest.
Slugs. Came from slugs.
Is it?
Yeah. Wow.
Well, it was very difficult and laborious to produce purple dye, which is why the royalty of the Romans often wore purple to signify their wealth and importance over others who could only afford more basic colours, such as green or red even.
Which came from plants?
Yes, which came from plants, which is why purple is an original sign of wealth. And you'll see that the crown that the king or queen of England wears has felt, which is purple, because it's a sign of wealth.
And it's interesting, the mosaics that they dug up in Pompeii and Herculaneum, in the larger abodes that these people possessed, there was mosaics that were largely purple, and this was due to the purple slugs in the region, which were hard to obtain and very rare, which showed a large sign of wealth. And I think it's interesting when we look at signs of wealth. It really comes from a historical perspective, and we're not going to see these long-lasting signs of wealth again. I mean, we can see signs of wealth in nice cars, but that's ever evolving. You can see signs of wealth in nice houses, but I'll tell you what, once again, that's ever evolving. I mean, you had a house on the coast in Newcastle 40 years ago, it was worth nothing because it was near the coal factories and the air was horrible, it was smoky. But then, you moved inland and places far more inland were much more expensive because that's where there was less coal, less smoke. But now you look at, they've shut down the coal industry, largest coal port in the southern hemisphere, by the way. It might even be the world. Don't quote me on that. The southern hemisphere. And now places on the beach are more expensive. I mean, it's ever evolving. However, the use of purple is a cultural thing, and you can see that that it's not something that is held by people who are wealthy now. But because it's something it's been long lasting, and because ever since the Industrial Revolution we've been progressing quite quickly in our societal worth and societal income and stuff like that. So I don't think we'll ever see that again. I don't, and cheers, right?
And I have something to say about. I believe we were talking about the Minions.
Yeah, let's make it quick though.
The polyglottal means of communication that the Minions hold.
Wow!
I feel like they really hold a lot of different languages, and they kind of separate different words into the way they communicate. It's interesting to see that the only means of communication for the
You've got about 20 seconds to wrap up your point here.
Filipino language of Tagalog, the only means of that form of language that they
10,
in the second movie when they reference the tribes. Very interesting.